All right, let's talk about something you've probably used today, maybe even thousands of times in your life, but have you ever really thought about it? I'm talking about the ballpoint pen, because packed inside that simple little thing is some seriously ingenious physics and engineering.
So, I want to start with this question because it really frames what we're talking about today. I mean, think about it. We've all got smartphones, laptops, all this high tech stuff. But what if the most complex piece of machinery you use all day is actually just a pen? It sounds crazy, but you're about to see why it might just be true.
Okay, first up, an everyday marvel. We're going to look at the hidden challenge in what seems like such a simple tool. So, here's the fundamental problem the inventors were up against. How in the world do you deliver a thick, kind of paste-like ink onto paper in a perfectly controlled, consistent line without it either leaking all over the place or drying out completely? I mean, you need it to be thick and stable, but also thin and flowy. It's a total paradox. How can one thing be both at the same time?
All right, so the answer starts with something called the perfect rolling seal. We're going to unpack the core mechanism here. So at the very heart of the pen is this brilliant, simple idea, a ball and socket mechanism. You've got this tiny little free-rolling ball, the ballpoint itself, usually made from something super hard, like tungsten carbide, and it's just sitting snugly inside a little socket right at the pen's tip. Simple, right? But simple in concept is not simple in execution. We're talking microscopic precision here.
And this is how it all works, broken down into 4 steps. It's honestly beautiful. First, when you press the pen to paper, the friction from the paper makes the little balls start to rotate. As it rotates, the back half of the ball picks up a super thin film of ink from inside the pen. Then, as it keeps turning, it transfers that ink from its surface right onto the paper. And here's the kicker. The 4th step. The ball perfectly reseals the socket the moment you stop writing. No leaks, no drying. It's a self-contained, perfect little system.
And this really gets to the core genius of the whole design, doesn't it? The tight fit between the ball and the socket acts as a seal, preventing the ink from leaking out and stopping air from drying out the ink in the reservoir. So the exact same part that delivers the ink is also the part that protects it. It solves 2 huge problems with one tiny rolling component. It's just so efficient.
Okay, but the mechanics? That's only half the story. Now we're diving into the physics of a perfect line. Those invisible forces that actually make the whole thing possible. First up, we've got something called surface tension. You can basically think of this as the ink molecules wanting to hold hands. It's this cohesive force that helps the ink cling to the surface of the ballpoint. It's the reason the ink doesn't just, ooze out all over the place. It's like a microscopic stickiness. And working as a team with surface tension is capillary action. So if surface tension is the glue that makes the ink stick to the ball, capillary action is like a tiny pump that's constantly drawing more ink down from the reservoir. It keeps a continuous, thin film on the ball's surface, so it's always ready to go. It's the same amazing force that lets trees suck water all the way up from their roots to their leaves. So really, you've got all these forces working together in perfect harmony. You've got friction, which is the engine that makes the ball rotate. You've got surface tension, which is the glue making ink stick to that ball. Then there's capillary action, the pump that keeps the ink flowing down to the ball. And yeah, good old gravity is in there too, giving a little secondary assist, gently pushing the ink downward. It's this beautiful, delicate dance. All right, now for what I think is the coolest part of this whole thing, the shape-shifting ink. Because the secret here is that the ink isn't just ink, it's a special kind of smart fluid called a non-Newtonian fluid. And this is where the real magic happens. Check this out. The ink has 2 completely different personalities. When it's just sitting in the pen, at rest, it has a super high viscosity. That means it's thick, almost like a paste. That's what stops it from leaking. But the second you start writing and that ball starts rolling, boom, it goes to low viscosity. It becomes thin and fluid and flows perfectly onto the paper. So what is this magic? The scientific term for it is shear thinning, and it's simpler than it sounds. Shear force is just a fancy way of saying the stress that's applied when the ball rolls through the ink. As soon as that rolling starts, the ink's viscosity, its thickness, drops like a rock. It thins out under pressure. It's a fluid that literally changes its state on command. And this is just as crucial. The moment you stop writing, it snaps right back. The quote says it all. When the pen stops moving, the ink quickly returns to its higher viscosity state, preventing smudging and leakage. It happens instantly. That's why the line you just wrote is crisp and clean and doesn't smudge. The ink literally thickens the second it's no longer under pressure. Okay, so we've got the clever mechanics and the cool physics. The final piece of the puzzle is the math in the machine. This is all about the insane engineering precision that makes every single stroke work. Just look at this number, 0.7 millimeters. That's less than a millimeter wide. It's the common diameter for a standard ballpoint. We're talking about a mechanism working on a microscopic scale. If any part of this is off by even a tiny, tiny fraction, the whole system just fails. It won't write.
And this table really lays it out. Whether you get a fine, medium, or bold line, all comes down to these tiny differences in the ball's diameter. A half-millimeter ball gives you a fine line. A full millimeter gives you a bold one. But for each of those, the socket tolerance, that's the gap between the ball and its housing, has to be controlled with unbelievable precision to get the right amount of ink to flow. It's a masterclass in precision engineering.
And believe me, this is not just trial and error. Engineers use some seriously heavy-duty math. We're talking complex fluid dynamics formulas, like the Navier-Stokes equations, just to model exactly how that smart ink is going to flow around that tiny rotating ball. All of that brain power, all of that complex math has one simple goal: to make sure that when you write, you get a perfect skip-free line every single time. So seriously, the next time you just casually pick up a ballpoint pen, maybe pause for just a second, because at its very tip, you have this incredible concert of mechanics, physics, and advanced mathematics all working in perfect harmony. Which leads to one last question for you. After seeing the science packed into a simple pen, what hidden genius are you holding right now?